Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Global Business Night with Gibson Odoka Jr. I am super excited to have you back here today. It's been an awesome week. My team and I, we were just, going over what we talked about last week. Like the last episode. It was the business of your industry. That was just fantastic. That was unique. And for some of you who are just seeing this for the first time, please go back to the postcards series to my channel and make sure you watch that particular episode, the business of your industry. It will, bring out the best in you. For most of you who are already in an industry, you should watch the video. We talked a lot about what first of all, we try to merge the basic economic questions, which is what to produce, how to produce, and whom to produce. This is the force or the questions that drive any economy, any prosperous economy. In business, we also have something similar, which is who do we serve, how do we serve them, and why do we serve them. We expatiated. I talked a lot about that, how these questions, being able to answer this as an employee, will give you a better insight on how to become a shareholder in your industry. It's just is something that I can't even think about, seeing a lot of super smart, super talented individuals who should be controlling a huge share of their industry, spending all their active duty years or their working years, as employees. I'm not saying that being an employee is bad, but it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I think if you're super smart, if you're super talented, and you have the wit and the grit to pursue entrepreneurship, you should look into the business of your industry. We talked about various industries. We looked into how nature works, in the value chain of production, in the value chain of economics. We looked at how those that are in the very those that are closer to the source of the raw materials and the less, I was able to explain that. And in the mining industries, those who do the job of mining of diamonds or gold, they make a lot less money, than those who actually, take these diamonds from their raw forms and refine them to some precious metals and sell them at a lot higher prices. We looked into agriculture, where we talked about cocoa, those who farm cocoa, who cultivate cocoa, who do the plucking of cocoa, don't make as much money as those who process and brand them into something like Bonvita, or the beverages. It's just crazy. I think one of the companies we talked about last time was it was Mondelez. It's a Chicago-based company that had an annual revenue of about 38.5 billion US dollars, from just using cocoa to produce beverages. We looked into technology, and the example we cited were those who do the coding. These are those who are more closer to the source of raw materials. They do the coding, they write all the codes or the softwares, but they are paid by those who then necessarily have to write softwares. And the reason they don't make as much money is because they are at the closer to the raw materials. They are the actual raw materials. We looked into banking, and we looked into those who do marketing. In banking, they have various segments from my studies. They have the operation team, they have the marketing team, and other teams or sections in the bank. But the marketing, they still inside the marketing, there's still some level of division, not in a bad way. there's some level of division. There are lower marketers who go out to evangelize their their businesses. They go out to get customers. They make sure customers invest money. They make sure customers bring their money. They take loans, and you name it. It is their duty to make sure the bank have a lot of money. Deposited. They go, like, they get targets to meet every month, and if they can't meet up with that for maybe 2 or 3 consecutive months, they get laid off, right? But these are the people that earn the less. They are the source of raw materials. They are the source of raw materials, or they are closer to the source of raw materials with for the banking industry, but they get paid the less. So it's like this in almost every industry. We talked not just about this, but we looked into the various businesses in various industries, and I, for the sake of time, I don't really want to go heavily into that. I think you should go watch that previous episode. It's really, really interesting. It's super exciting and it's mind blowing. So you should go watch it. And very importantly, if you're here maybe for the first time, or you've been on this podcast before and now you're coming back, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Click on the subscription button if you haven't done that, and um, this will enable you to get notified each time we put out new episodes of this podcast. So, that being said, we're going to be getting into the business of the day. And what is today's conversation? It is operating business like a millionaire. There are different ways millionaires operate business. And, in life, we have the peasants. The peasants is just like in farming. We have peasant farmers who just focus on what will feed them and their immediate family. That the kind of farm they have. And then we have those who farm at large scale. So in business is the same stuff. We have peasant business people. And but I've been talking about peasant business people. It's funny because a lot of people get into business wanting to take over, wanting to become some big business, some big entrepreneur, some fantastic, or just want to take over their industry. But some of them have this peasant mindset, and it's unfortunate. Some of them don't know it. It's not like they know that they have peasant mindset. No, they don't. But they just for some weird reason have it, and that has bring a lot of limitations to how far their businesses can grow. So that's why I've after studying millionaires, I mean millionaire businessmen, billionaire businessmen, and also the peasant, I would just decided to put out some things that resonate. So number one is the peasant businessman, doesn't have a business registration, or doesn't have a company name. Now, this is very sad. It's very sad because from my research, a lot of people who are underperforming in business, they don't register their business. They could call it a name, but when it comes to show me your business particulars, they don't have it. They don't have it. Some of them don't even know the difference between business and registration and incorporating a business. For some of you who may be sorry, for some of you who may be hearing these voices, I'm recording this outdoors. I love doing my podcast outdoors because I just love nature. That's why you can hear the birds singing. So back to this. So some of you all don't know the difference between a business name and a limited business or business registration. Now, for for me, like I said, like I didn't have entrepreneurial background, coming up. It wasn't like my parents were initially entrepreneurs that had to hold me and be like, "Yo, this is how it works." Once you conceive a business idea, you go to registration, you go for namesake. Those things never really. It wasn't there. I learned it, as time went by. So now, how do you operate business as a millionaire? Well, as an aspiring millionaire businessman or woman, number one, you have to register your business. You know, it's not okay. So it's not okay to run business anyhow. It's not okay to just open a business and just start running it with one name. No, now the dangers of this is for some of your business may turn out becoming successful, and by the time you you start engaging in bigger deals or bigger transactions, you don't want to go for business registration, and here you are, doing business name search, your business name is taken by someone else, and that is just crazy. It just doesn't make any sense. Now you have to worry about changing your business name or having to negotiate with whoever that is currently using your business name to either give it up, and it's very expensive. It just doesn't make much sense. So you have to register your business name. If you're in Nigeria, you have to make sure you have your ROC number. That gives your business limitation. Like when I mean limitation, like they make it limited, so you can operate at any level. You can do transactions internationally with your business name registration. In Canada, you incorporate it. It's usually incorporated, or you can, yeah, it's incorporated. So and it's not very expensive for some of you who don't know. It's just about getting the right information. When I did my first business registration, that should be in 2014, I spent about I think $2,700. That was huge money because I consulted Robertson and Stromberg law firm to do my business and registration. They made things easy for me, but that was a lot of money for me to spend on business and registration. My second business, I was a lot enlightened, so I didn't really have to go through that route. I was able to do it from home, and it cost me about either $30. I'm not too sure, but I think it was $30 or something within that range. I mean, it wasn't too big, anyways. It wasn't so big, either 30 or $50. But you can see the margin, and I still got the same thing. This law firm charged me $2,750 for, and but in all, it allowed me to do business in a big way. I was able to open a business account and like in the bank, right? I was able to open an account in my business name, and this is very, very important because for some of you who want to do business in the bigger way, you can't run business with your personal account. I see people do this. It just doesn't make any sense. I go to establishments, I work with people, and the moment I want to pay, they are giving me personal account. I'm like, yo, like I'm dealing with a business, not you. Now they're like, yeah, but my business account is not working really well. No, that's not true. They don't even have their business registered. If their business is registered, they don't if their business is registered, yeah, like they don't have a business account. For some people, I've heard, like there was this particular surveyor, you know um in the course of our conversation, like I wanted to make a payment to his business account. He's like, no, he doesn't want that. Like if the money goes to his business account, then he's liable to taxation. I'm like, yo, like it doesn't matter. Like the opportunities are just enormous. When you use your personal account to do business, that doesn't count as business money. All right. But when you use your business account to collect your transactions, you would have what we call business record. And what that business record does is it gives you opportunity for future investment opportunities. It gives you opportunity for you to be able to take grants, for you to be able to get some contracts. Right, like there are some pretty big contracts. They want to see that your business has been in existence for a while, so they're not just asking for business name registration or your ROC number. What they need is your transaction. They want to see the kind of deals that you deal with, so they can trust you, and they don't just want to hear word of mouth. They want to see your bank account. They want to see your business bank statement. So it's just the way life is. And is it a bad? I don't know. I don't control this. It's something that was there before I came in. So you have to do that. And today, I've seen situations where big organizations wanting to give grants to businesses, to entrepreneurs to expand their business. One of the criteria were for you to provide your business account, not because they want to pay money into it, but they want to be sure this business has been in existence, this business was making money, and is the amount of money you're making is not even a deal for them. They just want to be sure that there is money coming into this business account every month, so they can add extra funds. We saw this in this guy's Jerry Eze's entrepreneurship. Yeah, I think Jerry Eze Foundation. Yeah, he recently gave $3,000 or thereabout to 250 Nigerian, I believe it's Nigerian entrepreneurs. I don't know if he did it across Africa, but I'm just assuming it's Nigerian entrepreneurs. And one of the criteria was you have to have your business name registered. Two, you must have a picture of your business environment, like your office. Three, you have to have a business bank account, not just for you to get money paid into it, but a business bank account so they can see that yes, this business is legit. This person takes this business serious. This person has been making this amount every month. So that is just one of the reasons why you should have a business account. And then another part is for travel purposes. You have to register your business. There are times you want to travel, and in your travel documentation, they ask, what do you do for a living? Now you're not a 9 to 5, so you can't say you're working in a company, because they want to see your bank statement, they want to see your account, right? And imagine if you're going for a business trip to Silicon Valley or to somewhere in Thailand. You've got this amazing investor deal, and you're super excited because this will change, or this will bring a transformation in your business. And then all of a sudden you get to the visa spot, and they're like, yo, we need to see your business bank account. And you're telling them, I don't use my business account for transactions. I use my personal. You can see them, and you're showing it to them, and they're like, no, we're talking. What we need is business account, right? We don't need your personal account. We need business account. When we want to give you, for the purpose of your travel, we want to see your business account. We want to see how much you're making. We want to see that there's transactions that are coming in and going out of your business account, right? So, you can't downplay on the importance of having this, right? Like, even in most countries, like, you want to get a business credit, without a functional business name registration, I mean, like a corporated business name, you cannot get credit. Nobody will give you business credit. And are they evil? I don't know. Are they mad people? No. They just want to be sure that your business is operating. I mean, it's not a big requirement, anyways, but they just want to be sure this guy makes ABC every month. This guy's makes ABC every month, and that is just the way it is. And also for future partnership, you can't just be thinking small. For millionaires, they they operate their business, and most millionaire businessmen, you can't just work by yourself. You need some level of partnership. And in the course of this partnership, some of them start asking you to bring your financials. We want to see your financials so we know exactly where this business is. Even in investment, like, you're getting an investor is coming to get whatever percentage of your company. Your they want to see your transactions. They want to know, like, yo, like, this business we're investing in, this is how much they make. This is how they make their money. This time of the year, they make this transfer amount. In quarter 1, they made this amount of money. In quarter 2, they made this amount of money. In quarter 3, they make this amount of money. So in that, it helps them to make informed decision to know the kind of policies, because if someone is coming in to invest in your business, most of the time they might be in your board, your business board, and that way they will be able to give opinions or good advice on how the business should go. So by seeing your financials, your transactions, they would know between this quarter, like this month, this month, this month, we've noticed in the last 2 years you make a lot more money. So meaning this business probably have some, seasonal advantages, right? So it's just one of those things you have to know. You have to register this business because nobody will do it for you. If your business is not registered, if your business is not incorporated, you will definitely go get missed. Like you would definitely miss out on so much opportunities. So you can't play down on that. You can play down on that. So there's just nothing you can do. There's just nothing you can do. I have I was gonna talk about how this helps. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna put it out because I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in third world countries, who have lost a lot of money, not because they deserve to, but because the people that work with them are just crazy people. Now, why is good to have a business account? Some of your, like I've seen this happen in gas stations a lot. When you want to make payment, they ask you for cash. And what they're trying to do, most of these workers, they're trying to get this money in their pocket, not to remit it, right? So, but if you're operating a business and you put it like a must that all transaction must go to this bank account, I don't need no cash, you know, you're, I don't need no cash. Whoever is paying must pay through this POS. The moment you do that, you're saving yourself some, unnecessary expenses. Then here's another one: research. Research is very, very important for those who want to run business like millionaires. You have to. I don't know if I talked about this before, but yeah, but you have to put research as one of the things you have to do. Your team should dedicate at least a day. If you don't have research department, I'm talking about small businesses now that are trying to build like Millionaire. If you don't have people focusing on research, then your entire team should set out a day in a week strictly for research. You get to the office 8 a.m. in the morning. All you do is research, research, research on how to improve your business. Right? Then another thing too, because you want to be a millionaire, I mean, you have to think about your branding, and it still boils down to registering your business. Because if you're, what would it profit you if after you branded your business and yeah, your business is well branded, is well known, and then you go for business name registration and they're telling you your business name doesn't exist, or someone have taken your business name and you can't use this business name? What do you do? I mean, these are real questions you have to ask yourself. That's what I'm telling you. Like, the advantages of doing these things for those who want to operate business like a millionaire. You can't start with a peasant mindset, right? You have to think like a millionaire from the onset, not like peasant. Peasants go through all this. Let the peasant be peasant. You are not a peasant. You are a millionaire to be, right? So your thinking, your reasoning, everything about you should be, it should be long term. It should be long term. And also, we're talking about customer service, right? Like you all have to have good customer service strategies, because I've seen a lot of businesses, their customer service are just weak. They do all kinds of crazy stuff and it doesn't make any sense. And the last one I want to talk about is marketing. Well, you know, now what is marketing? Marketing is all about value creation, um, value addition. If your business is not registered, how do you market your business? Let's be honest. Marketing and branding, they go hand in hand. How do you market your business? That's why I'm telling you, like, if you want to do this thing big, your business have to be registered before you can even start marketing it. Because the moment you're putting in money on marketing, I don't even know how you market your business in the first place if you haven't been able to commit to registering it in the first place. All right. So you don't want to do business like the peasants. You don't want to do business like every other person. All right. You want to do business like a millionaire does business. Your operation is different. Your ideologies, the way you think, the way you structure your company, has to go in line with the millionaire way. And I've listed some of these things, so I just want you all to put this to practice. If you're running a business and you haven't had your business registered, please do that. Make sure you use your bank, like your business name to create business account. Oh, very importantly, your emails. Why this is very important. When you register your business, you know, you now have the business name. You can then go on to build a website or a mobile app, whatever it is. You can do this. You get your domain names, and then your conversations also doesn't have to be in your personal email. Now, this is very important. Like if I'm relating with you, it should be in your business email. If your business is XYZ, it should be xyz.com. Like info@xyz.com. That should be the kind of emails we should be using to have business conversation. And every member of your team should have an email if an email on that domain name. If their name is Sarah, you should have Sarah at xyz.com, right? So these are some of the things you have to do. This is how millionaires do it. And for some of you who are aspiring to be millionaires, please take note. Everything we've discussed here, go put into practice, register your business. It will, it, I think it will be the engine that we steer every other stuff. But you have to do the number one thing millionaires do, which is to register business. I've just listed out how registering your business can change almost everything for you. So you go and do that now. You don't have you don't have to wait for the next 2 years. You don't have to wait for the next 2 weeks. You don't have to wait for the next month. Just go and do that. Go and do that. I can't say this enough. Go and do that. Business name registration is very important. You have to do that. You have to do that. You have to register your business because your business is what moves you, what keeps you going. This channel is all about entrepreneurship. We talk about business, and as long as you key into the conversations here, you put into practice, I'm guaranteeing you, you will be nothing short of a millionaire. Nothing short of a millionaire. So I just want to say, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do that and share this channel with as many friends as possible. Don't be greedy. They also deserve to have access to this knowledge that's been poured out, that's helping your business to grow. So thank you very much. I love you. See you in the next episode.